Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is urging the United Nations to stand by his country in an effort to force Russia to come to peace.
The war in Ukraine started more than 2.5 years ago. And during this time, his country has gone back and forth from defense to offense. Today, Zelenskyy discussed the impact that the war is having on his people back home.
It's the Ukrainian people who feel the full pain of this war. It's Ukrainian children who are learning to distinguish the sounds of different types of artillery and drones because of Russia's war. It's our people who are forcefully separated by occupation because Putin decided he could do whatever he wants. It's our heroic soldiers who are giving their lives to defend our country from invaders trying to steal our land. That's why we say, rightfully so, there can be no just peace without Ukraine.
Now, in an effort to help increase Kyiv's defenses, the U.S. is planning to send a roughly $375 million military aid package to Ukraine that includes medium-range cluster bombs, rockets, and additional artillery. CBS News intelligence and national security reporter Olivia Gazis joins us now from the United Nations headquarters here in New York. Olivia, you follow all this very closely. I'm curious what stood out to you most about Zelenskyy's remarks. He seems more and more exhausted the more we see him as this war drags on.
That's true. He's been hard at work, Errol, keeping Ukraine in focus as there are a number of global crises that diplomats are addressing here at the UN General Assembly. He sounded the alarm in particular today on the risk to Ukrainian power plants, which he says Russia has been surveilling using satellite imagery, some of it provided by other countries, to specifically target nuclear power plants in an effort to disconnect them from Ukraine's energy grid. He said that was a cruel tactic intended to plunge Ukrainian civilians into cold and darkness as winter approaches, and of course also risk triggering some kind of a nuclear disaster. He warned, as you heard in that clip, that Ukraine needs to arrive at a just peace, not just freezing the conflict where it is, forcing Ukraine to give up some of its territory, but ensuring that the war ends in a real way and preventing the risk that Russia regroups and reinvades after some time passes. He's expected to take the case in person to President Biden and Vice President Harris in Washington tomorrow.
So, Olivia, I want to ask you more about that. As he is expected to bring this plans for a path to victory, is what I think he's dubbed it. What more do we know about his plans to end the war?
Sure. Well, we're expected to learn more details after that briefing with President Biden and Vice President Harris tomorrow. A senior State Department official told us that there are three main parts to this plan. One, near-term military needs to ensure that Ukraine has what it needs to succeed on the battlefield. We know that they've been asking for long-range weapons capabilities to fire deep inside of Russia. Two, political assurances for its people who want to know that at the end of this, Ukraine will be welcomed into Western institutions like NATO and the European Union. And three, the long-term economic picture to ensure that Ukraine has what it needs in order to rebuild once this conflict is over. That's assuming, of course, that any cessation in hostilities is possible. Officials here telling us there's no indication as yet that the Russians are any more willing to talk.
And Olivia, this meeting is all about diplomacy. There are reports the U.S. is leading a discussion to broker a ceasefire finally between Israel, Hamas, and Israel and Hezbollah there. What can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. It's another part of the intense diplomatic work that's taking part here at the UN. American officials have been working behind the scenes with Western counterparts, with regional counterparts, to broker some sort of cessation of hostilities between Israel and Lebanese Hezbollah. Officials saying that they are trying to find a way, a diplomatic resolution to stop this cadence of strikes and counterstrikes that has escalated tensions in recent weeks. And they've been arguing that the way to do that first is to arrive at that very elusive ceasefire deal in Gaza. The problem there being, as Secretary Blinken told CBS News this morning, there has been little to no traction with Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, who has been silent, even as negotiators have been trying to make progress on the ceasefire deal. So it is difficult to see how a broader diplomatic breakthrough structured that way can succeed in the near term.
Yeah, it's just so important. Olivia Gazis, thank you.